So today we're going to be going over the best players in each position on a value metric. Now, obviously we're not all spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands across the board. Later on in the week when the game's fully out, I'll go over what I believe the top meta will be. But today we're going to be looking at more of the value cards. Some players that you might want to actually get and potentially could be worth paying a little bit extra for. We're starting with very little value and working our way up to about 20 to 30k give or take, just because I feel like if you go further than that, if I'm buying an Allison for instance for 80k, we know we're going to lose a lot on that one, whereas 20k here and there is not going to go too crazy. So we've got a lot of players to go through, starting off with the keepers. Easy one to start with, very little to lose. Vicario, nice keeper, great and standard, obviously coming in with a beautiful set of skills, very nice stats in net, he does the business. Ederson, another one that's now moved out of the Prem. With him specifically, it's going to be interesting to see where he does get the links. Now, naturally, there's a lot of Brazilian teams out there, and most definitely you could get a few of the Turkish League players in there as well that could get the links off, that I do think he's a pretty standard card. He's going to be quite a nice one. He was good in previous years. I think Kobel, I've tried to really kind of narrow down a lot of different leagues as well, because I know not everybody is rocking Prem or Serie A as the two ones. You've got a bit of Bundesliga in here. There's not necessarily crazy amounts, but there's enough to go around, and Kobel definitely does the business. He has got a Playstar Plus as well, if you wanted to go for that on the meantime. Ter Stegen is one that I've seen massively. Now he's got perfect links across the board, being Barcelona, one of the two major teams in the league that really have them linkable players, but then being German, could link to the Bundesliga as well. So multi chances for him, which I think is perfect, and 10k, not going to break the bank for him. De Gea coming in at full flight, 85 rated, 11,500 coins, and most definitely a very good Spanish keeper. And he does basically what Ter Stegen does. Instead of having, obviously, German players, Spanish players in the Serie A. And I do think Serie A have got some wonderful cards in themselves, so you could even just go along with him, and he's always been a fantastic keeper. But then one that is very interesting to join the Prem, 14,000 coins for this 6'6" goalkeeper. Now obviously Donnarumma, Alisson, Courtois, a little bit out the mix with how much they are. I do think it'd be great to get them untradeable and most definitely the best in their positions. But in terms of pricing, I don't know if I'd pay over 100k for Donnarumma just yet. Then we move on to some of the left back, right backs. Now obviously with a lot of them, they are interchangeable. Sometimes they have the left back and right back. With, for instance, Ola, I would go more right back. I tend to go with a preferred foot, and then in the wing, I'd go the opposite. So obviously going for the finesse on a left wing, he needs to be right-footed, or vice versa on the right wing, I'd want them to be left-footed. So obviously with Ola, he could play both, but realistically, we're looking at the right back for him. Very nice stats across the board, very cheap and affordable, and he gets the team going. He's going to have plenty of evolutions to start with, and I think that's going to be a nice input to go with if your basis is on evolutions, especially now we can do 2 at a time. Undogi, cracking option, was great last year, and I feel like he's definitely on a little bit more of a price tag compared to what he was previously, but as a left back goes, one of the better ones, seen as though the Prem really doesn't have a great deal of them. They have a few that are okay, but nobody that's going to be incredible. Robertson is kind of the counterpart to him, being 2 rateds higher, a little bit of the pace, obviously defending could do with some work, and we're not going to go through chemistry styles too much on these because you could probably guess, like if you threw an anchor on him, he's going to get more of this, which is always fine. So naturally they're going to be on a certain level. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for Eldorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with Eldorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. Balde, if we're going for the lovely La Liga links, fantastic left back. Great pace, Physicality is the real big issue with him, but it all depends on how you're using your fullbacks as well. If you're going for an attacking wingback, then obviously pace is going to be incredible, and defensively, you could kind of let that slip if you've got two very good centre-backs with him. The physicality wouldn't be as much of an issue, but if you're asking him to be that defensive rock, maybe you want to change it for somebody else. It's always a possibility. But if we're going for it, I think if you're going to spend the money, Ferland Mendy has always been tested, proven, and absolutely incredible. Now, obviously, just because I know from the experience, you can put him in two of the rising guards. No overall upgrade, but he does get an extra defending, taking him from 78 to 80, which I think is a big upgrade to say the least. Now if you throw the anchor on him, that's a pretty good left back to get just for 20,000 coins, and if he does continue this evolution streak, you could get him pretty well up there. So I would definitely be putting him as a solid option to go with. We then throw in a bit of timber. I think if we're looking absolute cheapest chips, he is going to be replaced quicker than you can snap. But for right now, if you are looking for a potential centre back, right back, left back that can do the job, he's at least cheap enough to throw in there. Dutch links, very nice, and to be honest, is limited, but he's definitely a nice starter, especially if you're not spending crazy amounts of money. One that I thought would be a little bit more expensive, maybe just towards the 10k mark, Dumfries. Fantastic card, has the ability across the board, to be honest, and maybe we do see a centre mid of him at some point, because I do think his stats do encourage that. Now, obviously, some of them will prefer a shadow, some will prefer an anchor. Depending on what right back you're looking at, there might be a case for all of them. And to be honest, it depends on how many votes they've had as well, because 72% of 1,000 votes is fantastic, but of 2, 3, it's questionable. Throw it into Trent now, very specific with him. He has got the whipped pass plus, which definitely will come in handy. Now we can actually head the ball, and sometimes it goes in. You can definitely utilise him very well. He's got the attacking wingback plus, and that's another thing, because we're so blessed last year with so many roll pluses towards the end of the game, you kind of forget how bad not having a plus or a plus really is. Without it having there, it's just a shame, but with obviously some of them, they've already got a couple that you could throw in, so he's definitely one that will be very much hand-picked for a specific role to actually play. He's not just your standard right back, especially with that passing. We then move into some of the centre-backs. Now again, some centre-backs can move out. Ake has always been known that he can play left-back as well, and I think is a very cheap alternative as a centre-back. You can't really go wrong. He's got a good amount of pace, great defending, physical could do with some work, but naturally a solid all-round centre-back when it comes to the start of the game. One that I've been quite enjoying, to be fair, for some chemistry purposes, is Dean. Dean is absolutely fantastic. Again, pace is there, defense is there, a little bit of physicality. It's absolutely what you need. Still lengthy, 74 pace, 87 defending, 80 physical. It's cheap, it's cheerful, and it gets you through the start of the game, especially until we start to be able to afford the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Konate. One that is absolutely exceptional to try out, Hanko. Now yes, links are going to be required if you're putting in some Atletico Madrid players, or naturally just going for a La Liga team. I think he'll be a great starter centre-back that you can get in. He's got the pace, his defending physicals lined up together. I think personally, if you're going for the shadow, 83, 86, 82, a great start. For him and Dean together, 3k between them, I don't see that being a bad partnership to start the game. We're not talking about buying cards for 50 to 60k each, because of course they're going to be good. But the cheap players are what make the game to start with. And another one, if you go in Turkish League, Sanchez looks incredible. Exceptional pace, brilliant physicality, and a crazy amount of defending. Now, obviously, the composure is the main cause that's really going to be affected later on in the game. But for right now, you could definitely get away with that. Throw the shadow on him, 88, 86, 88. Phenomenal centre-back. Now, it is just waiting for that evolution to catch up to give him that bit more of a composure. But a brilliant starter centre-back if you are looking to try and get some of them Turkish League players in, especially for, 5k. Tomori has been another great shout. Now, obviously, we are destined to get his 86 once we finish this season. So, naturally, that's going to have like an end date at some point. But for right now, for 10k, he's got the pace, he's got the defending. Physicality is there. It's definitely not the worst it could be. You throw the anchor on him to get him into lengthy. He gets himself 84, 86, 82. absolutely stunning. Which then we go into a little bit of a higher bracket into Bastoni, another Serie A defender, coming in like that sort of Vidic build. Maybe the pace is still relatively nice, to be honest, but it's not necessarily in them 80s, but that defensive ability is absolutely there. Kind of reminds me a bit of like a Gabriel. He's another one that's been in my team personally for a little bit. We managed to pack him. He's 10k, but pace is most definitely not his strong point, but defending physical, if you can really hold that line, he is a phenomenal centre-back to get into. Now we've kind of blended the midfield into one, cams, centre-mids, DMs, depending on what midfield you're running. Leave a comment down below. Are you running a specific midfield? Have you got 2, 3, even 4? What are you planning to do with that? Have you got DMs, CMs, or cams? Leave it down below so I can see which one I should prioritise more. Cunha, though, as a great starter, obviously can go into the 85 Evo, which is what a lot of people have done. Which I do think for the price that you're paying, he's really not that bad. He's going to have plenty of upgrades. Hopefully we do see more promo cards of him at some point, but naturally I'd be okay just evoing him up at this point. Throwing ourselves up one more. Now if we can get past the pace element of this card, if we have him purely to ping passes everywhere, I do think he could do a job. He's got a good amount of passing for a very starter card. The pinged pass plus, the work that he could throw in as a holding DM would actually be really nice. And for 3k, he's worth a test out at the minimum. We then have Joe Linton, who's kind of like, it's a mixture between him and Bruno G, who are phenomenal together as the Brazilian pairing, but they both have very nice stats that do complement each other. Now, obviously, Bruno G is going to be in this. I do think as an 82 goes at 3.7, he's not a bad midfielder and will get an evolution at some point to upgrade a little bit more about him, which is always going to be nice. We have got Cherokee as well, coming in as the cam variation. I'd probably say cam more so than right wing. I think the pace is a little bit lacking for him in there. But again, another card that most definitely will do the business later on down the line. Evolutions. He's great on the ball. His dribbling is absolutely exceptional. I've been seeing him in that sort of cam role that has just been providing everything. So he's definitely going to be one that's worth looking at. Very much like the Tillemans, but with a little bit more on his plate. Kalanoglu, very good with the incisive, especially with a Serie A. It's 5.1k for someone with incisive pass plus. At the start of the game, them playstyle pluses are absolutely massive on wherever you can get them. So having the pinged pass, the incisive, a rapid, a finesse is always going to be very nice. And I think Cal can do that very, very well. We then have a bit of Bruno G. Now, like I say, Joel Linton's going to be more your workhorse, whereas Bruno G kind of floats in and around. I'm not necessarily having him doing major runs up and down, but he most definitely is going to be a bit about the midfield, and I do think both of them complement each other well. But I do think if you look to the ratings, I'd possibly go a little bit of Joel Linton over Bruno at this point. Then we throw ourselves into McSauce. Beautiful card, 85 rated, had the season of his life last year, and he's been rewarded. Some very good stats across the board. He's pretty much just that perfect centre mid. He's a tall centre mid as well, gets the ball, and he's going to be able to carry to some element. Now, yes, his agility balance is in dire need of an upgrade, but as a starter card, I don't really find too many faults with him. I think he'll possess the ball, he'll get it back, he'll be able to get it forward. Shooting wise is going to be questionable, but if you can get him in the right spot, I wouldn't see why not. Loftus-Cheek is another one. Fantastic links across the board. Very much like Tomori will have that beautiful link between them. But in terms of a centre mid, it's very balanced. It's a nice card. If you can go for an evolution later on down the line, you can kind of see already some of them throwing in themselves in there. He's a lovely card. He's going to be one of them ones that, as always, once he starts getting some specials, starts to get some bigger evos, he's most definitely going to be looked at. He's always been a fantastically balanced card, and this year is no difference. One that has thrown a spanner into the works is the last minute deal of Xavi Simons to Spurs. Another fantastic cam that you can throw into the mix. He's quick, he's agile, he gets the ball in and around the box. And yes, he can sometimes get a bit of shooting on the go, but realistically, with Xavi, he is all about assisting. He's all about it getting the ball to your strikers. And I've seen him countless times down people's teams, and he does that very, very well. Which then throws us into a bit of Goretzka. Now, obviously, the partnership between him and Kimmich have always been iconic when it comes to FIFA. You've always had like an 85, 89, and this year Goretzka starts at the 82, and again he's very balanced across the board, nearly at that 80, 80, 80 roll, which means all the stats being that Hullet sort of gang. You throw the Hunter on him, I imagine you've got all 80s there if you really want to, but naturally he's got the ability to play in every bit of the midfield. Kimmich with a massive upgrade to an 89 this year. It's going to be interesting to see when Goretzka can get up there, what that pairing's going to be actually like. Which then throws us into Thuram, going up a little bit more in value. I feel like a lot of people were definitely looking at him after what was kind of like last year, with obviously him and his brother both getting player of the months, and most definitely he's got the base stats to go with it. He's a tall centre mid like McSauce, and he absolutely runs it. Which then throws us on to McAllister. Again, one step up, but a pinged pass, little bit less on the pace, but he most definitely in and around the midfield will do an exceptional job going forward. And then we had two of the kind of centre mid CDMs that I just had to throw in above 20k, as Tchouaméni is a fantastic one. He is brilliant at the DM role, and so is Kanté. With the Intercept Plus, absolutely brilliant. If you can get the French links, which it's not necessarily the hardest thing, even if you wanted to go Saudi links, there's plenty that you can go with, and I do think Kanté will run any midfield going. Which then we step over to the wingers. We've got left wing going up first, and I think Gordon is going to be a fantastic starter option, mainly just pace down the wing. That's predominantly what you're going to find with a lot of them, but I do like the fact that he has got a little bit of composure to start with. The agility balance could do with some work, but realistically, you're looking at the finisher, and you've got yourself an 86 overall winger. I don't think that's too bad for 1.7 if you've not managed to get any further. One that I have seen quite a bit now, Caicedo with a 91 pace. Again, composure is a little bit higher than what we've imagined from some. Again, you go with the finisher, 87 overall. For 3.9k, if you can get the Liga F players on the link, not a bad option to go with, especially with one of the strikers that you can throw in. Chawinga, another fantastic one. Now, I don't know what the difference is between her and, I don't know if it's a twin or a sister, regardless. The striker in Ligue 1 or D1 versus obviously the NWSL. Now, hard for links in terms of trying to find links in terms of the same nation, but then trying to figure out the NWSL. There's a few players that do well, but a lot of them play in the same position as her. So it's going to be very interesting to see, is she just a bench player? Is she someone that you bring off? And other than that, stats-wise looks good. Composure on the little bit lower end. So whether you truly want to go with her or potentially go with another option, for instance, Swanson's always going to be a fantastic one. Again, composure a little bit on the lower side, but the pace, the shooting, the rest of the dribbling is going to be there. You throw the finisher on her, 88 left wing and right wing altogether. She's always been a very nice option when it comes to it. Now Hemp is definitely throwing a hat in the draw, and unfortunately that composure is so low. They really kind of gave her everything else and then just drop the composure to balance it out. So it is a bit unfortunate on that aspect. Now again, I would probably go with Swanson over her, just because it's just a very interesting one. But the first thing that we can do in this year is we can actually upgrade the composure. It's one thing that I didn't know until I think I saw a TikTok or something, and I didn't realize that we can actually get composure upgrades now on some of these playstyles, which does have a very nice upgrade to it, but it is only predominantly, I believe, from what I've seen, there's only +3. You can't go any more than that. Just double checking across the board. Yeah, it looks like the max you can get is a +3, which for a card like this is going to save her quite a lot, because having at least 73 is better than in that orange 70. So just something to always be wary of. And obviously the PSG boys. Barcola has got to be in here. He's going to be a fantastic upgrade across the board when we get to him. And naturally, if you go with a finisher, a bit more balance on him, he's got the pace, a bit of shooting. He's a fantastic card for 15k. You could get him, Doué, and obviously Dembele. If you can get that front three, it's going to be an absolute wonderful one. Doku is another one that's thrown in because he has got that rapid plus. Very much like kind of like Diaby on the other side. He's got the rapid, he's got the pace. Yes, stats wise is always going to be very interested, but if you're looking at specifics, if you wanted to go for maybe a finisher on him, if you wanted to go for kind of that hawk, if you go for marksman, if you want to go for more on that composure, there is definitely stuff that you can do to really up this card that little bit more. Now obviously the price is going to be a little bit more expensive. You're going to get that Prem tax, you're going to get that Man City tax, so naturally, and to be honest, Evolution tax as well, because you know he's going to be in there. It's an interesting one to see where he can go. Now, if you want to see Evolution tax, Marcus Rashford is fantastic in the game. He's still only an 80, so you've always got to bear that in mind when we get a couple weeks into the game. He's not going to be able to really dominate against a Saliba and Virgil, a Konate and Virgil. He's going to struggle at times, but naturally everybody is waiting for that evolution. English, in Barca, in La Liga, loads of links. Very nice card to upgrade as well. He's already got the 5-star skills. He's got to be one that is well worth looking at once we get into that top meta of the game, when he's got them evolutions to go forward. We throw the right hand side, and very much like Gordon, Anthony Elanga is going to be there as well in that cheaper section. And I think he's a wonderful card. Again, looking more towards pace, and again, you're looking more towards the finisher. It's always going to be the way when you've got the pace already, you need as much shooting as possible and as much dribbling as possible. So it does turn him into an 84 winger for 3k in the Prem. I don't see too much of an issue. One that has been very prevalent in general is going to be the Pedro Neto. So it's absolutely solid upgrade when it comes to Chelsea, and I think he's going to be one that will be evolution present last year and this year as well. We saw him with his... Was it a numero foot? I want to say it was one of the SBCs that you can get, and the evolution form of that was outrageous. So always interesting to see. Now, I couldn't quite put my finger on this card specifically. He should be better, like 5.6k, it's fair enough, it's an 86. He's good in the game, but then I have moments where he's not. It's such a very hot and cold moment. I don't know personally what he's done to EA, because I'm pretty sure Elise is faster than that. I've seen him go down the wing. There is no way he's only 78. Now, I don't know if that's to counterbalance the dribbling or anything like that, but it does seem faster than that in my opinion. So it's kind of just one of them that I think once he starts to maybe get an upgrade better, and maybe they do sort out a bit more of that pace, he would be more relevant. But for the price that you're paying, if you're looking at French or Bayern team, I mean, I'm never going to turn him down. But there is always the option if you're going for France. I'd definitely be looking at Diaby. Quick step plus, great pace. Yes, a little bit lacking on the shooting, but dribbling even then. 79 on the composure. You throw the finisher on him. I mean, that's from an 84 to an 87 in game. I am not going to complain about that card once. He was exactly the same last year. Him and Traore were having a battle on who's basically the starter, and he most definitely came up as a big winner in a lot of teams. Anake Williams, another one that's very quick down that wing, little bit more on that kind of shooting basis, but has definitely dropped on the dribbling basis. So it is always an interesting one to see what counts more for your work. And I do think when it comes to being on the ball with Anake, there's more substance to it. When you're just running down the wing with a Gordon or a Elanga, you can tell that they can just go down the wing. When you stop it with Anake and you stop running and you kind of walk with him, you kind of do the dribbling, the close control, you can tell he's got that little bit more about it, which is always nice to see as well. And then we had to throw in a right wing as well. Adeyemi, absolutely insane. Quick step plus. He's going to be an absolute baller when it comes to evolutions. He's just thrown in there because you have to. Now, strikers. We've got 6 or 7 names thrown in with strikers. Kolo Muani is going to be my Evo one because he's 6'2". He's got great pace. Physicality is a little bit lacking. Now, I mean, I don't expect him to be like the body of Hulk, but he's definitely got more than 65, let's be real. Now, in terms of kind of everything else, the shooting's good. He's going to be a perfect candidate for that first evolution where we get that 85, 86 rated striker. It might not be this week, it might not be next, it could be the week after, but Kolo Muani is going to fit into it and he's going to do wonderful. We've kind of gone up a little bit because I'm assuming you probably will spend a little bit more on your strikers than necessarily your CDMs or your fullbacks. Lookman's a great one. If you're looking for quick dribbler in and around the box, we know that you don't necessarily need to have a crazy amount of physical presence, but if you can have that's somebody that left sticks that can really get around the defenders, Lookman has got it. He's got the shooting, he's got good pace, great dribbling on him. The physicality and passing not quite, but other than that, the shooting element is absolutely outstanding. Great hunter on him as well. He's just going to be a nice affordable striker. He's not quite the 50, 60, 70k, but for 15, I'd absolutely take him. And of course, we had to throw in a bit of CR7. I mean, evolution point of view, he's going to be up there again once we get there. It's going to be a while yet. But Power Shot Plus, he's got the name. I just have to throw him in, as Messi is like 30 and above. So we will look at him in more of a higher price. Peugeot, same as last year, we saw the exact same. You had kind of like the whole Liga F Barca team throwing themselves in the mix, and Peugeot was most definitely one of the strikers. One of the first ones that you'll find at this price with the Finesse Shot Plus, so that's already a big winner. Now obviously Finesse Shot Plus has dropped down in its overall effectiveness outside the box. Inside the box, it's still incredible. And with her dribbling, her pace and shooting, it's not that difficult to get in the box with her. Now, obviously, people are looking at the Hawk for her, and it will give you, obviously, a bit more on that physicality, that shooting, and that pace. If you was to go with something a bit more on the composure side, she already has 89. So I think she's a sort of striker that you could fit into the team, and she could last. I mean, 88 rated. Look at the stats that you can throw on her. She's an 89 overall. I mean, you wouldn't need to really change that card unless you got like a Yamal or something, for instance, or like a Dembele, and you kind of like, okay, well, I kind of need to change it because he's way better. So it is an interesting to throw that investment at 16,000. I'd happily lose 10k if she can provide, and she most definitely can. Martinez coming in quite cheap for an 88 as well. He has got the brand new one in the Game Changer Playstyle Plus, which is interesting to see in itself. His shooting prowess is absolutely phenomenal. He's obviously got the composure down to a T, bit more agility balance, and he's definitely worth the price that you can pay. And then we've got the two of my personal favourites. Now, Hugo Ekitike is coming in at 21,000. At an 83, he's going to be great on the evolutions later on down the line. But I do think once we start to get that shooting bonus with him, he's going to be brilliant. Like, his pace is there. Bit of physicality could do with some tuning, and I'm thinking promo teams for him, and I've been really impressed with him in real life playing. He is an absolute wonderful player. He's a breath of fresh air when it comes to being a striker, and he most definitely is going to have a high rated card in this game. But the number one, little bit more expensive, but if you're going to go big, I think you have to go with Marmoush. 50,000 coins, he's dropped 7.6. He was at a major price before the promos came out. He was 85, 80, and within them couple of days, dropping down to 48. I think that is an absolute steal. Now, again, you will eventually lose money on him. He's not going to stay at 48k. He is only 84 rated. Naturally, he will drop down. But the stats that he has and just how he plays, he is going to be wonderful for you. He's worth every penny. Yes, he's got the 3-star weak foot, which could do with the upgrade. But naturally, for right now, he is one of the best price strikers that you can physically get. And that's going to be everybody for today. Leave a comment down below what you think, and I'll catch you all for that next one. Peace.